Katkin and Matt Dougal.
Marcus Katkin back with Matt Dougal for the Blindside Fantasy Football Podcast. Guys, don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter, by the way, at Marcus Katkin, at Matt Dougal. Matt, how's it going? How'd your week 4 go?
Well, with all the DFS hoopla,
let's not get into that.
I'm upset.
Yeah, it's not a good situation in the DFS
Something
world
to think
right
about.
now.
I mean, hey, that's the opening for this show.
No,
that's some of the biggest news, but
yeah, we won't get into all
we'll
that.
read into it any further. Let's see what happens.
Let's talk about the football.
I'm playing this weekend. Love it.
Yeah, let's talk about the football news. First of all, the podcast, guys. If you like the podcast, make sure to give us a review on iTunes. And keep checking out my GPP videos, guys. I know I talked about it last week, but last week's GPP video had 3 of the guys on the DraftKings Millie Maker team. So those low-owned guys, I'm pointing them out, and they're producing. So keep checking those out.
Hey, are we going to stop plugging, or are we going to make a podcast here?
Yeah, well, this is the podcast.
They thought they're like, is this a commercial?
All right. We'll stop with the plugs and get to the news. So Thursday night's game, guys. Colts at Texans. Arian Foster came back last week, and he's expected, I guess, to get a full workload this week. It's going to be the first time all season we'll see him in a full workload. What are you expecting from Foster here?
Well, I expected what happened.
Do you think he gets a full workload?
I expected what happened last week. Rewind and listen to the last pod, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So this week, yeah, I think what they were doing is just keeping him a little bit on a pitch count because they knew he had to turn around quickly. That's the narrative, and I'm going with it. I believe it. Thursday night, expect fully Arian Foster, but the problem is going to be Ryan Mallett, quite possibly. I mean, he's got to improve. It's hideous.
I don't think it's going to matter for Foster.
Are they that bad?
I don't think it matters for Foster.
If they're that bad, though.
He throws a lot.
Yeah, and he's involved in the passing game when healthy, so.
I kind of like.
I hear you.
I kind of like that Mallett's a quarterback because he throws a lot and actually helps us transition to the next part of this with DeAndre Hopkins, your 4th overall wide receiver in fantasy so far. He's just been a target beast, and partially because, like we've been saying, they just throw the ball so much. Right now, he leads. DeAndre Hopkins leads the NFL in targets and has 8 more than the next closest wide receiver in Julio Jones.
Yeah,
8 more targets than anybody else in the league. That's a lot. That's a whole game for a good receiver.
Yeah, it's 22 this week. Are you kidding me? The tragedy here is that it's guys like Hoyer and Mallett throwing him those targets. Imagine if he had a halfway decent quarterback. He's still producing with those guys. Just imagine if it was a guy who... Give me Alex Smith even.
Matt, I said it before at the beginning of the season. I think he's going to be this year's ODB. I said it way back when, in the preseason. He has all the talent. He's the number 1 receiver now. He's young. He's athletic. We saw him make great catches even before Odell Beckham made great one-handed catches.
Yeah, he made one of the greatest catches I ever saw, actually. I think it was
nullified.
A play that was nullified.
Nullified by a penalty.
Yeah.
But real quick here, too, I just want to say, now, DeAndre, I'm a little worried about him this week just because he's going to have Vontae Davis on him. No Cecil Shorts for Thursday, and maybe no Nate Washington. So I think he could be doubled or even triple covered here. But slots receivers this year against the Colts. Listen to these. Percy Harvin, 5 for 79 and a touchdown. Eric Decker, 8 for 97 and a touchdown. Kendall Wright, 7 for 95 and a touchdown. Allen Hurns, 11 for 116 and a touchdown. So like I said, with Cecil Shorts out, DFS punt plays, are we looking at Keith Mumphrey?
No.
It's interesting.
I mean, he's beat out the 3rd round
play.
pick strong, which was interesting to me, seeing that battle throughout training camp and the later pick winning out. So maybe he's got a little more talent than we know. And interesting call, sure. Pivot play. No one's going to be thinking that name. That's for sure. If you hit it and you put it on your video, I'll be subscribing every week.
I think there's a chance.
I hear you. I mean, the opportunities are there. The opportunities are there. I always talk about, don't I? Touches. Yeah. I mean, if that's if they throw it the way they do every week,
if
somebody's got to get some targets. Right. I guess 22 to Hopkins again would probable.
Yeah. If Mallett's going to throw it 50 times,
I hear you about the Davis thing too, but Is Hopkins a guy that we talk about matchup proof? Is he good enough where I'm playing him?
No.
Really?
I mean, yes.
I think he is.
Yes, season long you're playing him.
Yeah, okay.
Daily?
Sure.
Daily,
Thank
though,
you for clarifying that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, daily I'm staying away from him just because Thursday night game, tough matchup.
Yep.
Arian Foster back to maybe a full workload.
Yep, I hear you.
I'd rather just stay away, and if he blows up, and I miss out, whatever.
Yep.
Then I still have all the Sunday games to recover, but I'm staying away from him in DFS. Another guy I'm staying away from in DFS and season long, Andre Johnson. We talked about him last week, but yikes. He is just 17 targets week 1 and week 2 combined. Just 3 total targets weeks 3 and 4 combined.
Yeah, and I know these guys
is an afterthought.
And girls all like to hear about the home league we're in. He was dropped in our home league last week. You picked him up for $2. Mm-hmm. We got a $200 fab budget, so $2. What's that?
I figured,
it's picking up your defense.
Why not? I believed on him in the preseason for a reason.
Are you dropping him this week?
I am not. I'm
okay.
Still
for $2, it's worth keeping.
Yeah,
I mean, man,
deep benches.
What happened to Andre?
I don't know. I mean, Luck's hurt. Obviously, he's got his shoulder issue, but
it's insane. Yeah, but
I mean, part of this week, I'm just chalking up to Hasselbeck. A little bit.
Hasselbeck looked all right though.
But
I'll tell you what, for an old man, 40.
I mean, I'm just.
Oh man, he's 40.
I'm just hoping a little bit that Andrew Luck comes back to Andrew Luck form, and even if he's the third option on an Andrew Luck team.
Even, you see me over here rubbing my shoulder with reports of subluxation.
Yeah. Did
you see that?
No.
Subluxation? I had to look it up. It's like,
I don't even know
it's not quite a dislocation.
You're rubbing your shoulder like it's a weird rash.
It's what happened to Andrew Luck, rumors are saying. Subluxation, I think it is. Forgive me, medical experts.
What the hell is it? Just explain it.
It's not quite a dislocation, but it's close to it, from what I read while driving. It was terrible. I shouldn't have been doing that. Don't do that, everybody. It's terrible. It's football all the time.
Next game up here, we got Bears at Chiefs. Jay Cutler came back. Yay.
Hey,
I guess.
Everybody was screaming yay if you had Martellus Bennett in DFS, which we talked about all week.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it's a great matchup to start your tight ends against Oakland, and it was even better with Jay Cutler in there. At first, I was going to stay away from the whole Martellus Bennett thing just because of Jimmy Clausen, but with Jay Cutler back, you knew it would be better, and it was.
Yeah, you were texting me early Sunday morning when the news was coming out.
All the Martellus Bennett, and it turned out to be
I was on him
great.
regardless, and then you came over, which I hear you. And the reason it happened was probably Jay.
Jay Cutler, yeah, exactly. Real question, though, here is, will Alshon Jeffrey be back in this game?
I think so.
I think so, too.
It's been kind of close. Like, this week, there was a chance. I had him in my weekly leagues. I had him in the lineups until like Saturday, Still kind of believed. One of those things where the week before I kind of just didn't roster him in the starting slot. This week I think he's back. It's been too close lately.
I think he's back too, but I'm still just a little nervous about him.
Well, if he's back and he's healthy, that tells.
He's 100% sure.
Yeah, I like that they're waiting. Last week you were all in on Arian Foster, on old man Arian Foster.
I wasn't all in.
Yeah, you thought. Definitely full. We argued about it. You were talking that he was going to get the full workload, and I thought no.
Well, I mean, we heard pregame that we knew he wasn't going to.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it in our home league. I played
podcast on Monday night.
I played Alfred Blue
because
because we knew that he wasn't going to get a full workload. But a guy that
I think Jeff will be okay. That's all.
A guy that is getting a full workload, Matt Forte, turns 30 this season, and right now he's averaging 24 touches a game. Are you worried that eventually the age and the workload is going to break down on him?
He has more touches right now than he did last season at this point. I hear you on that, but what am I going to do? I love it.
Yeah, season again.
The touches are there. What I'm disappointed is he hasn't put it in the end zone more.
Yeah, that's always been Matt Forte's kind of
I hear you.
issue.
I think with Cutler back, if Jeffrey comes back, it's a little bit of a different offense, coming off a win too.
Yeah, but I think with Cutler back, Alshon back, when in the red zone, he's looking at Alshon. He's looking,
or at least
Martellus.
There's another weapon that has to be worried about too. I mean, they've been bad. Plus, what if he gets traded? I know that's a long shot.
That's not going to happen.
I hear you.
I'm not going to waste any time on that because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hear you. But if he gets traded, we'll probably be to a better situation.
Who is trading for a 30-year-old running back?
I don't know. Yeah. But if they're selling because they're trying to rebuild in Chicago, You never know.
Anyway.
But regardless, I like the situation too.
So technically speaking, Devonta Freeman is the number one running back in fantasy, but to me, the clear number one running back is Jamal Charles. Touchdown in 3 out of 4 games this year, 5 total touchdowns. In the only game he didn't score a touchdown, he had 145 total yards.
You ask me if I have Lamar Charles to trade Adrian Peterson, I'd accept in a second. He had 11 carries this week, right? Did he have 11 carries this week?
That's because you love Peterson. You have crazy man love for
It doesn't
Peterson and
matter.
Vikings.
He just had a solid game against a great defense in Denver. Jamal Charles had 11 carries this week. I'm almost positive on that. The workload is always going to be there for Adrian, and I'm sorry, he's still Adrian Peterson. So for me, he's number 2. I'm sorry.
All right.
But we're splitting hairs. You know, there's people on your side, there's people on my side.
I think this is, whatever side you're on, I think this is going to be another great game for him against the Bears defense.
Yeah, definitely.
He's going to...
We killed you on Latavius last week, but I think it was a good call. And Charles is a much better player.
Charles last week, yes, 11 carries, but 6 receptions. That's what
I
he
know.
does.
He gets his touches.
It's the total touches.
Still 17.
17's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. I think Adrian had about 17, so I'll shut up now.
Macklin back-to-back 140-yard receiving days. Surprisingly, Chicago's allowed the 6th least amount of passing yards in the NFL this season, and the 9th most rushing yards. So really good against the pass, surprisingly. Much better than I originally thought.
It's still a small sample size because I don't believe it. But
I don't either.
Yeah, the numbers are saying
if you're believing in Alex Smith throwing the ball and lighting it up downfield to wide receivers,
yeah,
I'm betting against that all day long.
We'll see.
Yeah. Seahawks at Bengals. Matt, rest of the season, Jeremy Hill or Gio Bernard?
Jeremy Hill, just because of touchdowns.
Really? That changed, I think, from last week. Weren't you about Bernard?
No. I was Gio. I was Bernard. Gio Bernard. I was Hill because of the touchdowns
last week. Are you Team Hill or Team Bernard?
I think Bernard because of where you drafted him, clearly. So
no, I know.
I still thank you for the 3 touchdowns. If I have Hill, I'm trying to find the guy who thinks he's Jeremy Hill, and I'm trading him.
I'm Team Bernard right now.
Yeah, but touches this week. Snaps this week. I'm pretty sure it regressed in Gio's favor, where Hill actually had more touches. Snaps, even though the touches were Gio's favor. I think Hill had more snaps this week, so that was interesting to me because it hasn't been that way.
Hill 56% of the snaps. Giovanni Bernard 43.
Yeah, and weeks prior, can you see that what you have now?
Yeah, it's been Gio 2-1 in week 3.
Yep.
Gio 2-1 week 2.
I'm noteless too. How do I do this?
So actually, the snap count was very similar to week 1.
Yeah.
Still,
it's a timeshare.
9 carries for Hill.
It's a timeshare. The only reason why I like Hill more in this timeshare is because he's going to be the touchdown guy.
Yes. I hate banking on touchdowns.
But if you have Hill, you're pissed.
I hate banking on touchdowns. Why would you be pissed with the 3 touchdowns? Or just the lack of touches?
I'm talking this week, you're happy, okay? But you expected this guy to be your bell cow running back. You know what I mean? You're Adrian Peterson, you're Le'Veon Bell, you're Eddie Lacy, you're Marshawn Lynch.
Can we agree that neither won a good play this week against the Seahawks?
I think this offense is too good to say that.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm just believing in the Andy Dalton, but he's looking good. You got A.J. Green, you got Eifert, Marvin Jones. Sanu's a solid player,
Hill and Bernard
too.
Each getting about 12 touches a game. You're going to take 12 touches against the Seahawks?
Yeah, I bet you in a flex. Yeah, I am. What are you asking me to play him in what? DFS? No.
Yeah, I
Flex? Yes.
Sure,
running back 2?
Sure, season long leagues. Again,
both of them.
You probably don't have better options because it's
RB2, low end, both of them.
No, I think they're both flex-ish plays.
Yeah.
I don't think they're even RB2s. I don't think
this week.
I don't think either of them will be in my top 20 this week. A guy that may not be in my top 20 this week for another reason, Marshawn Lynch. You got him in season-long leagues. You're standing pat. You're going to hold on to him, but he's starting to make me nervous.
Yeah, the MRI had some findings.
Yeah.
What kind of? Nobody knows.
You know what they found? They found Skittles.
Shit.
Can you imagine?
I've seen the commercial with that guy. They're contagious.
They are contagious.
Have you seen the commercial?
They are contagious. So, we're nervous about Lynch. Are we also nervous about Jimmy Graham? I mean, it's not looking good.
Yeah. Just another rough game. I mean, last week he kind of showed up. The squeaky wheel got the grease, though, and they kind of went back to it this week. But look, another game they really barely won, and actually, by the rules, maybe shouldn't have.
That cost me a lot of money in DFS. Oh, my God, that stupid fumble.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see. I mean, I think they got to incorporate him more. It only makes them better. They really are lacking in the weapon department, especially on the outside. You know, who do they have? Baldwin is not a number one receiver. I mean, he's a number 3 receiver at best, a number 2 slot type, but I don't know. They got to get Jimmy Graham involved more.
23 targets through the first 4 weeks for Jimmy Graham. How many targets did he have through the first 4 weeks last season in New Orleans?
He had, through the first 4 weeks, he had 37.
42.
Yeah. Shit.
42. So 23 this year, 42 last year. I mean, let's put it this way. If he had 42 this season, he would be tied for 10th overall in the NFL.
Yep.
Like, that's how much of a drop off. I mean, half the targets. That's crazy. That is a huge drop. I mean, you
need to figure this out. You spent all that money. What are you bringing him in there to do?
Yeah.
Catch the ball.
You knew Seattle didn't throw the ball, obviously, as much as New Orleans, but you expected to be more involved than that. That's for sure. I know I did. I was buying into him in the preseason as a third-round price. I loved him, but not showing it so far. Redskins at Falcons. Matt, I'm going to love me some Julio this week in DFS. I think a lot of people are going to be off of him after last week's debacle. Washington has allowed 45 receptions, 617 receiving yards, and 6 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers this year, and the 10th most fantasy points. I think the only way you worry about it is if they blow him out again and they hand the ball off a lot, like they did last game.
Yeah, Julio's completely safe at most points until it happens like this last week, which was just a complete...
Until you just blow him out.
Yeah, and I mean, they were pulling guys in the third quarter. Julio's going to be fine. So absolutely you love him regardless of the matchup for me. But even better this week, of course.
Matt, if it does get out of hand and they hand it off, they're going to be handing it off to the number 1 running back in all of fantasy, and Devonta Freeman. His second straight game of 3 touchdowns. I don't think he could possibly have another huge one in him, could he?
Sure.
I mean...
He seems to fit what they do.
I mean, it's just it's such a crazy pace these last 2 games. I don't know. Washington, believe it or not, the stingiest defense against opposing running backs this season. The best.
Interesting. But it also coincides with the fact that it's pretty easy to throw on them, and it's small sample size. You know.
Yeah. Right now they're currently allowing 9 points per game below the league average to opposing running backs.
Yeah, it's outstanding. The Falcons actually on the other side, letting up 26, about 26 a game to running back. So, interesting matchup for Freeman. Certainly a difficult one. And like you said, the pace clearly can't continue. Plus, is Coleman going to be healthy enough to play this week? You know, Freeman right now is just, could the value be any higher? What do you do with him if you have him? I'm shopping him.
You gotta hold him.
I'm shopping him right now and hoping that somebody truly believes to get an elite guy.
Yeah, I would shop him too if you can get
because
an elite guy, but I don't think you could.
I don't believe Coleman just goes strictly to the bench as a only when he's tired sub Freeman guy. I don't believe it.
Let me ask you this: you were all about Carlos Hyde after week 1. Are you putting Devonta Freeman as that top 12-ish running back?
Hyde was more... I didn't know how bad his team was. That's unfortunate. That was a tough call.
Real bad.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't go make a big trade for him. Sorry about that. But the Falcons aren't going to be bad like that. We know that's not going to happen. What scares me, like Hyde, I had no issue with workload or being the guy. He would never lose his job, period. But these guys drafted Coleman. They didn't draft Freeman. Coleman is a kid who at Pro Day ran a 4.39 at 215 pounds. He's a good player, and he beat out Freeman for a reason throughout the preseason and training camp. So to think that he's just going to sit to the bench, I know he's been performing like you couldn't believe in Freeman, but I don't know. I don't see it being just his job now. It's over. Do you?
I think eventually, when Coleman comes back, he gets a few carries. I think Devonta's going to get the lion's share for a while.
Nobody knows, and I could be crazy, but you could think I'm a genius by the end of it too. It's nobody really knows right now.
I
like certainty. I like certainty in football.
I've always just been more worried about their offensive line, which has looked good lately, but in the preseason, not so well.
Good point there. Yeah,
last season, not so great.
It was the worst we've ever seen.
And last season too, they didn't go to the run a lot. I think they were last in the NFL in rushing attempts. It wasn't a team that wanted to run. So maybe that's changed this year, but I don't know. I'm a little weary. Jaguars at Bucks. Matt, for me, and I feel crazy saying this, all the TJ Yeldon for me this week. All of it. I want it.
Yeah, I mean, he looks to be learning how to run the ball in the NFL. You know, I mean, I think all the skills and all the talent is there, and this is a nice matchup. This is not a good Bucks team.
Bucks are actually favored in this game, believe it or not.
That's crazy. He's got to score, right? He's got to get in the end zone.
Yeah, listen to this. Bucks 10th worst against opposing running backs this season. They've allowed 493 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs.
Yeah. Could this be the week that Yeldon goes off?
All the TJ Yeldon. TJ Yeldon, too, has had over 20 carries in games with a positive game script. So games that we've been winning or close to winning, he's been getting the workload, which I think is going to happen in this game, too.
Yeah, and he's a great young-looking prospect. I love the talent. This kid looks like he is going to be a guy that we talk about for years to come.
Allen Hurns, Matt, 60 or more receiving yards in every game this season, touchdown in his last 2. He must be owned, right? Can't be on your waiver wires. He needs to be owned.
Not anymore. No. Nope.
Let me ask you this. Allen Hurns or Allen Robinson?
Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson.
It's close for me.
This was like an easy call, though. Not easy. I won't say that because I didn't use him, but you knew Hurns was going to be open because of the matchup that Allen Robinson had to face.
Vontae was going to be on Robinson.
Right? So where do you go if you're a young quarterback and you're facing Vontae Davis on one side? I'm going to go the other way quite often.
Obviously, you go to Clay Harbor.
Yeah. So for me, Robinson's still the clear number 1.
I think it's
12 targets this week.
I think it's real close
for Robinson.
I think it's real close.
No, I don't. Sometimes matchups will dictate go Hurns, though, because it's close. I'll give that to you. Yeah, you're right. It's close.
Closer than I think a lot of people want it to be.
Yep, I agree. But it's a Robinson for me.
Matt, end of the season, who will be ranked higher at their position? Doug Martin at running back or Jameis Winston at quarterback?
I know, huh? Interesting.
Right now, Jameis is the number 17th quarterback. Doug Martin, the number 19th running back.
Probably Jameis. I'm going to go Jameis just because it's, smaller playing field.
I think so, too.
Yeah. But that doesn't say much. It's you know what it says? The fact that we had to say probably and think about it. That's how freaking bad he is.
I'm more surprised that Doug Martin currently is a top 20 running back.
I'm not. I've always been a Doug fan, and even this year watching the games, which I do try to go back and watch them all, he continually looks good. They're just not very good around him, and Jameis Winston is bad.
I'm avoiding all Tampa Bay Bucks this weekend.
The targets are there for Evans. The efficiency hasn't been. He had,
3 catches.
3 catches this week on what?
Like 9 targets.
9? Was it 9 or 12?
9.
Yeah, it was.
Hold on, I'll bring up
last week, 17 targets, I think, and 10 receptions. 10 receptions.
All the targets in the world doesn't matter if
Jameis Winston's throwing you the football, yeah.
I'm not going away from it. That was Vincent Jackson's
though.
problem last year. Vincent Jackson last year got a lot of targets, but they weren't catchable. They weren't anywhere near him.
I'm not going away from him unless we got to clarify what we're talking about here. We can't just blanket it all in one.
Mike Evans, 8 targets last week.
Yeah, I'm playing him in my weeklies. I'm not playing him in my DFS.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
both of them. Jackson had a great week. They're bad. They're always going to be. I think they're going to be often playing from behind, whether they're favored or not in this game. That's kind of crazy to me. I think Jacksonville's better than them.
Vincent Jackson had almost as many targets last week
15?
as he did all season.
How many targets do you have? 15?
15.
So
man, they threw the ball a lot last week.
Yeah, and they'll continue to do that because they're bad. So, no, I'm playing them.
Saints at Eagles. I think this
not
is probably
DFS.
I think Saints at Eagles is probably going to be my favorite game to watch this weekend. I feel It's going to be an up-tempo game. Two offenses that can be highly effective. I think this is all going to bode well for Mark Ingram, who's had at least 99 total yards in every game this season. And I should mention PPR Mark Ingram. PPR Mark Ingram is...
28 receptions this year does he have?
22 through 4 weeks, which leads all NFL running backs.
Yep.
I never thought I would say Mark Ingram leads the NFL running backs in receptions.
Going into this week, tell us the stat you had. 99
I just
total
said
yards.
99 total yards in every game this season.
Sometimes I got to look some stuff up,
He's catching the ball out of the backfield a lot. I mean, maybe with CJ Spiller back, that goes down a little bit, but it didn't really go down that much this week. So
CJ with a big play at the end. How repeatable is that?
Oh, terrible. Yeah. Breeze, I am a little nervous about. Rest of the season, I think I have him as a low-end quarterback 1, high-end quarterback 2.
Yeah, just the weapons aren't there for him.
The volume's there, but he's not throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah, and the weapons aren't there. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're horrible for him. Cooks, by the way, we can't glance over him.
I wasn't going to. I was actually going to mention this real quick. I'm doing... It's kind of a little bit of a side project for me this year, but... And I know this is going to sound super stupid, something that I shouldn't even be wasting my time with, but this season I purposely picked a Yahoo League and let the computer auto-draft everybody for me. Purposely. Because I wanted to see if in a Yahoo Standard League, could I take an auto-draft team to the championship? Could I manage it in season to the championship?
Yep.
And Brandon Cooks on the waiver wire.
You dropped him?
No, I didn't drop him. Somebody else did, but I'm going for him. I mean, hey, why not? I know this is a weird side project.
Interesting. It's because you're horrible at drafting.
It's because can I be completely honest? It's because I didn't realize that I was joining a real draft. I thought it was a mock draft.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have time to like really draft. Something came up, and then it auto drafted for me, and it was a real team. And I said, you know what? I'm going to see if I can take this to championship.
Why not?
And you know what?
In season is just as important as draft day.
You want to hear something?
Right?
Yeah, you want to hear something ridiculous too? The auto draft of it, I got Le'Veon Bell, which Martavis Bryant, and Calvin Benjamin. So right off the bat, 3 of my major picks were missing at least 2 weeks, if not 4, if not the season. And right now I'm 3-1. So
boom. There you go.
Just interesting. I don't know. All right, sorry, off topic there. If we were redrafting today, Matt, what round would you draft DeMarco Murray in? I'm going to say 5th.
Wow.
5th.
Yeah. Yep. 4th. I'd be looking at him 4th, 3rd, 4th round.
Last season, he averaged
3rd, 4th round for me. I'd be looking
3rd or 4th, still that high.
Yeah, but listen, he bitched. What happens? The squeaky wheel. We'll see what happens this week.
Last season, he averaged 24.5 carries a game. 24.5. This season, he has 29 total through 4 games.
Yeah, he's just not fit for this offense.
They're not giving him the ball. I don't get it. It's like you were saying before. How do you pay somebody that kind of money and then just not give it to him?
Yeah, Jimmy Graham.
It's weird. Time to buy low on Jordan Matthews?
Yeah. Yeah, if you got to figure the offense is going to continue to get better. Yeah,
the first couple weeks of the year, I think everybody was on Jordan Matthews. These last 2 weeks have been bad. But
I like it.
I think it's buy low time on him.
Yep. That catch by Nelson Aguilar.
I didn't see it.
Wow. Then he followed up with a fumble like a play or two later. But
he's a rookie.
What a catch.
Willie Snead, is he a thing?
No. Yeah, he is. He's a human.
No.
But he's not a thing in fantasy football for me. No.
Led all Saints receivers and snaps last week.
Sure. What were his... Give me some stats. I don't look at his name.
4 for 44 or better in each of the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Sure.
Not outstanding. I'm just saying.
He's a poor man's Alan Hearns. Except he doesn't score.
Alan Hearns, the poor man Alan Hearns.
Yeah.
Browns at Ravens. 4 broken bones in your back and you're 36. You're gonna miss a week or 2.
Yeah, he's pissed.
It's gonna happen.
He doesn't even know who did it.
So, presume they haven't ruled out as well.
Assuming.
Well, Perriman's going to be out. Sorry. Why are you looking at me weird?
Because didn't he have stem cell injections in his knee? Yeah, I think that sounds like you're out for a while.
Perriman's out. So who steps up for them?
Kamar Aiken.
Or does
he did last week?
Or do just none of them step up? I mean, is it
Kamar Aiken did last week, so we'll see.
Do you care?
No, probably not. Yeah. Marlon Brown. Big body. I liked him coming out a couple years ago.
I was riding Justin Forsett in my cash game lineups for the last 3 weeks. And then this week, of course, I got off of him. And
what did he do? He had
150 rushing yards.
150 rushing yards, no touchdowns.
So I got burned by him last week.
Hopefully you sold high.
Our owner is going to get burned by him this week facing the Browns.
Yeah. He's a bum. Sell high.
Browns 24th against the rush.
I know. He kind of he got me salty for the first 3 weeks, and then he put up a good game.
Me too.
So we'll see what happens.
Me too. I'm a scoring lover right now.
Yeah, he's a guy I've always liked just because I like that he got his opportunity, but and did well last year. He had a really solid season, but this year it just hasn't been there. And I was the guy that was kind of on him, so I just got to see it again. Obviously, you're playing him, but I'm not DFSing him for me. Because even last week, 150 yards, what did he get you?
I'm a scoring lover. I can't. Even if he bats his eyes at me, I'm just no.
Yep.
Go away, Justin.
But if he does it for one more week, I'll be right back in the sack. Jack.
More fantasy points this weekend. Isaiah Crowell, Duke Johnson, or Gary Barnidge.
Damn, Gary Barnidge, man. I think he made a one-handed touchdown catch. No, he's not a thing. I think Duke. Snap count this week, I think he was up over 60% of the snap count this week, which is the first time on the season for him. 17 touches. Only 2 weeks in a row now where he's had a single reception or more, and those were 6 and 9. So this is what we always thought, definitely goal line back, and he has completely fulfilled that role, especially also sprinkled in first and second down situations. I think the trend is starting to happen where maybe he gets into a 75-25 split. And that's where they keep him because I don't know if they believe that he can be the complete bell cow, but he's a guy that's on the uptick, and I'm happy I got him in our home league.
Snap count percentage has gone up in every week.
Yep. Up every week from like 48 to 53 to 62 or something like that.
Wow, you almost nailed that. 44 to 53 to 53 to 61.
Okay.
So technically not every week, but because the back-to-back 53s, but whatever. Also, T-Ben, Travis Benjamin.
Hey, that's my boy.
Yeah, he's looking good.
You want to high-five me? No, you did the other day. We talked about this.
That's good. I mean, 10 targets each of the last 2 weeks. Baltimore has allowed the second most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this weekend. Listen to the stats.
Love them this week.
Listen to what they've given up to wide receivers this year.
Yep. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
66 receptions.
Yep.
For 884 yards and 7 touchdowns already this season.
You know what's amazing? You know what I love? 6 for 79. He didn't have to do it with a 50-yarder.
Yeah.
He's their number one now.
He's their number one.
Remember 2 weeks ago when you thought I was nuts that I was betting $31 of our $200 budget?
Yeah, when he's getting
this one was correct.
Yes, when he's getting 4 targets, yes.
Yep. But this is what you have to look for sometimes. You got to watch what happens in a game.
Now that he's getting 10 targets consistently, of course I like that, especially in daily fantasy. $4,500 on DraftKings, $6,200 on FanDuel. I think you're starting him in both.
You know what? If McCown's going to throw 40 times a game like he has in the last 2 weeks, is that a pivot quarterback at cheap money to stack with Benjamin? In a GPP. I think it is. God, I really do.
You're really asking me to start a Cleveland quarterback?
40 pass attempts or more 2 weeks in a row.
What
would he have done for you this week? I bet you it was about 20. How many DraftKings points? I think he had 20, 22.
I don't hate myself that much.
I would do it. It's a pivot. You want to play? Everyone's going to play their Derek Carrs of the world.
Rams at Packers. Todd Gurley. We finally see him in a full workload this season, and it was everything we expected. I love him.
Yeah, you do love him, don't you?
I do.
Don't go all fucking Carlos Hyde on me here.
I'm not. You're the one that went crazy on Carlos Hyde.
Well, yeah, you kind of went. It sounds like you're about going nuts on Todd Gurley.
Yeah, but Todd Gurley
after one game.
Todd Gurley's always had that you always knew there was a reason he was picked 10th overall after basically missing a season with a knee injury.
Yep.
He's proven
Yep.
it. He's
Yep.
proven it. And that's why I'm more on him.
Trey Mason he got 2 series in this game. That's it. He started 2 series in this game. I mean, it's Todd Gurley's show, but let me tell you something right now. Benny Cunningham played every single third down in this game. Watched it. That scoff at it, but isn't that unfortunate?
No.
No?
That won't continue.
I don't think it will, but Benny Cunningham played every single third down in this game, so that's just something to bring up.
Tavon Austin, don't care.
Here's an interesting one. This is one of the games I've been able to watch.
I can already tell you're going to spend way too much time on Tavon Austin.
No, it was pretty simple for me. Kenny Britt was basically covered by Peterson every single snap.
Yeah.
That's I put an asterisk on my notes with that. So that left Tavon Austin to do what he did. So do I really believe in it? I don't know. No, I don't. Gurley being there, though, is a serious weapon you have to account for, which gives Tavon Austin a little more space because you have to be worried about Gurley. So he is a guy to look at. But Britt was covered by Peterson every single play, basically. That's why Britt did nothing, and it's pretty easy to look at Austin's way. So I don't know what to think.
Any worries about Eddie Lacy's ankle?
No. Should I be? What happened?
He's coming
back.
He
had 18 carries.
18 carries.
That's fine.
All right.
Starks had 5?
St. Louis is allowing the 7th most fantasy points to running backs this season, but most of that was because of volume against them. They've been having they've had 100 rushing attempts against them by running backs this season.
It looked like Chris Johnson was the best running back in the NFL this past week, and David Johnson. The defense,
all the Johnsons.
Yeah,
Johnson.
And both of them are unproven, especially Chris over the last couple of years, and obviously David as a rookie, who looked very good against this run defense. So they don't worry me.
Bills at Titans. Carlos Williams dealing with concussion issues. So today they signed Boom Herron over Trent Richardson.
Interesting. And
both Colts, former Colts running backs, but how bad is Trent Richardson that he can't get signed over Boom Herron?
Yep.
Wow.
But before let's just talk about boobies.
Booby Dixon?
I've been waiting for that point.
Booby Dixon podcast is going to
probably going to be the starting running back in Buffalo this week. So,
he's got that going for him.
Bye weeks. I've always liked Booby.
That and the fact that we can say
have
Booby,
I not always liked Booby?
Yeah, we've always liked Booby's
always been wonderful. It's one of those things. He's been a little bit squeezy. He's always a little bit.
Listen, I've always preferred Booby over Bush any day. And,
yeah,
I never cared for Reggie Bush, so.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, Booby, if he's going to be the number one guy in a bye week, go pick him up. That's all I'm trying to get across here. Is definitely he's a pickup.
Oh, he's definitely a pickup.
Because we don't know about Williams and concussions. So,
Tennessee 9th best against opposing quarterbacks, but they have allowed 2 touchdowns in every game this season to a quarterback. We still all aboard the Tyrod train?
Yeah, he had a gorgeous run called back. He had a Clay touchdown called back. He put up around 14 points, I think. Even with those situations, you should have seen the touchdown run. We would have been talking about listen. If that made it, we would have been talking about a 22, 23 point day for Tyrod Taylor. So
sure. And
then the Clay. So I mean, that you kind of saw his floor. I think
Clay is a thing.
He is a thing.
Number 4.
What's up with that tonight?
I don't know. His the number 4 overall fantasy tight end right now, 193 receiving yards and touchdowns in 2 of his last 3 games.
Yeah.
He's legit.
He is legit. Greg Roman.
Actually, you know what? Let me ask you. You're a big Tyler Eifert guy. Tyler Eifert or Charles Clay?
I'm still Eifert, but it's getting real close. And that's coming from an Eifert guy, Yeah. Clay is a guy who produced in Miami when he was there. They thought they were upgrading, and it doesn't seem that way now with Cameron. Can't say on the field, but Clay, Greg Roman, we saw production out of Vernon Davis, out of the other backup. I'm losing the name now. Delaney Walker, back when Roman was there in San Francisco. And now Clay with Taylor, who's a guy that can really make plays happen. And Clay's a good athlete, don't get me wrong. He's not the size we all like to see, the 6'5" type tight end, but an athlete like a Jordan Reed, who Rob Druin, our boy, shout out to Rob Druin, the tight end whisperer. He picked up on Reed last year a little early, picked up Donnell before maybe he's not anything anymore, but Clay picked him up a couple weeks ago, and I think I agree with you. This guy looks legit. He's a top 10 tight end, definitely rest of the season for me.
All right, I'm giving you 10 seconds on Antonio Andrews. Go.
Led the team in carries in his first week after being inactive the first 2 weeks because of injury. Interesting to me. No one has it. Travis Benjamin, you need a number one. Go for him.
That's all Antonio Andrews gets on my podcast. 10 seconds. That's it.
Notice how I threw in Travis Benjamin.
Marcus Mariota. Buffalo has allowed 10 passing touchdowns this season, 2 or more in every game. I'm loving me some Marcus Mariota in DFS this week. And tournament play, him and the DGB stack.
Ooh, after a bye week. Are they going to integrate DGB more into the offense? Now, he's not a guy that anybody's talking about, and I don't really get it because he's otherworldly when it comes to talent. We're talking about him. We've been talking about him. He's our Latavius Murray this year. The name's been thrown out basically every podcast, and I think the time is going to be coming. And when other than after a bye week, when you have a whole entire week and a half or so of practice to get him involved.
Like I just said, though, 10 touchdowns, passing touchdowns allowed by Buffalo this year.
Do me a favor, please.
Could we see Green Beckham get 2 this weekend? Can we see Mariota go for 3 or 4?
Yeah.
It's
such a speculation call, but we've seen him being utilized in the red zone.
This will be in my GPB video. Just saying right now.
So do me a favor, please. And we talked about, I don't know if we did on the podcast, but they brought in Harry Douglas. And basically, he's one of the guys that's really holding him off the playing field, right? They paid some money. They brought him as a free agent. I think he's a 32-year-old guy who's never really produced anywhere. He's shown flashes. This year, when Marcus gives you his numbers, you'll start to really wonder why the hell is he continuing to get the opportunity? Let's play the young kid who has just unlimited potential.
Yeah, DGB's snap count is way lower than I thought.
Is that what you're looking up right now? I'm trying to set you up for a freaking Harry Douglas stat.
What?
I know what his stat. We're not talking about that right now.
Harry Douglas leads Tennessee in snap count.
Yep, good. I want to know his targets, his yards, and his receptions. Because what I'm saying is
16 targets on the year, second behind Kendall Wright on Tennessee.
Yeah, and how many catches does he have? I think he has 53 yards this season. Is what I'm trying to say is it's time to move these old guys out of the way and start playing the young kid.
Yeah,
let's let him progress. So that's.
Listen, I will read you Harry Douglas' stats if you really want to.
This is what I've been trying to set you up for the last 4 minutes of wasting everybody's time, dude.
Two for 24.
Listen to me sometime.
2 for 24 and a touchdown.
Yep.
1 for 9, 3 for 20.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay, so 2, 1, and 3. That's a total of 6, and he's had second on the team in targets. He's had 6 receptions,
53 total yards in 3 games,
and 53 yards. I told you that 2 minutes ago. We should have just stuck with myself.
Hey, you know what? He leads the team in snaps, though.
Yeah,
for wide receiver. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
How bad has he been? That's my whole point of this illustration. Is crazy. DGB is going to get his time. Get him before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm the one that brought up the stack. I think it's possible.
He's better than anybody they have. And it's not even close. They don't have any skill out there. Justin Hunter, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're
6'4", 195 pounds. I could probably arm wrestle you, and it's...
Matt's getting salty over there. Look at him.
DGB, get him in the goddamn game. Let these two grow together.
Cardinals at Lions. Andre Ellington this week. Yay or nay? Is he playing?
Nay.
Questionable again, but...
Yeah. There hasn't been a lot of talk about him being real close yet. I think it's a nay.
Personally, I'm avoiding all the Cardinals' backfield.
Unless you know he's out. And then Chris Johnson has looked fine. He's getting all the work. And David Johnson in 10 targets this past week.
Do you ever feel comfortable starting Chris Johnson?
He's looked good in this offense. I watched this game last week, Rams, Cardinals, and I'll tell you what. Yeah, he looked good.
A guy I'm not avoiding this week is Larry Fitzgerald. 6 for 87 or better in every game this season. He's at wide receiver 2 pricing on DraftKings and FanDuel, giving up wide receiver 1 stats. I continue to love me some Larry Fitzgerald.
Floyd got a lot of work this week, too, and Brown was really, really involved. Fitzgerald actually didn't have his first target or catch. At least catch, definitely, and I think target until about 2 minutes left in the first half. Almost 3 minutes left in the first half, so Floyd was a lot more involved this week.
Yeah, he's been getting more involved, especially in the red zone lately. I noticed that when I did my red zone stats on him last week, he was
and
getting
Brown,
more involved.
They really, really work on getting him the ball. Another play this week where he actually beat his guys. It should have been a 40-yard touchdown. Interception. Left it short.
Amir Abdullah averaging just 10 touches a game this season. He's shown some nice flashes, but even this past week with no Joik Bell, really didn't get the workload, and now he's up against Arizona's run defense.
Yeah, tough situation last week too, but
all set with this.
Yeah, he just
not getting the volume.
I was wrong.
Another tough
on him
matchup.
So far. Yep.
Calvin under 85 receiving yards in every game this season. He just doesn't look like his dominant self.
Yeah, but I'm buying low still. I just believe it's there. He looks fine to me. This is a different story than Andre Johnson for me.
I saw something today earlier. Matthew Stafford's 7 straight games under 300 yards passing.
Yeah, there's a change going on, and I think it's the offensive line, and it's Stafford. Looking worried.
Patriots at Cowboys, the highest over-under of the week. Do we see more Christine Michael here?
We probably will, right? Because Dunbar's out for the year. So, yeah. If you've been...
I mean, we know the Patriots' run defense has been horrid.
I don't know him to be great out of the backfield, though, and that's what Dunbar was. So where does he fill in here? I think what I know of their skill set, Michael and McFadden are more of the first and second down guys. Randall was great in college at Oklahoma State out of the backfield. That's what I know their skill set is. We'll see how they're utilized.
It's going to be interesting. I think
I'm picking up Michael, though, if he's on the waiver wire, just to see. Because I've always loved the kid's
Randall,
talent.
McFadden, and Dunbar had been splitting carries pretty even. I mean, not carries, snap count pretty evenly.
Yep.
And whoever's running the ball against the Patriots is going to have success. And I'm assuming it's going to be Randall still, but I wouldn't be surprised if Michael gets more involved now with Dunbar out.
I mean, all it is watch all three of these names and look at the box score and the snap count, because realistically right now, none of them matter at all. Other than Randall.
Yeah. It shouldn't come as any surprise, but you can throw against the Patriots cornerbacks. 4th most points allowed to opposing wide receivers this season. But can Brandon Whedon get the ball downfield?
Nah. I mean, he improved a little bit this week. No,
I'm not buying it either.
Yeah, no.
Like Terrence Williams, I'm off him.
Yeah.
If I'm picking somebody in the passing game, it's Witten.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to play anybody on this Dallas offense other than Randall.
I do.
You do?
Yeah. Randall. I like Randall, and I like I said, Witten. I think they're going to be down in this game. They're going to have to throw.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, obviously, we're taping this on a Tuesday. We're taping it a little bit earlier than we normally would. But if I can decipher later in this week who the passing down back is going to be for Dallas, I like them.
Yeah, we didn't even bring that up. We're doing this on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, a little early.
Yeah,
we both got plans for tomorrow. But if I can figure out who's going to be the passing down back for the Cowboys, they're going to have value this week because the Patriots are going to be up.
Sure. Do you think they're going to come out and say, hey, everyone, this is who the passing down back's going to be, so we're not going to figure it out. Right. Let's talk about this next week.
I understand.
Spending a lot of time on this Dallas backfield.
They're not going to come out and say it, but I'm just saying, if I go back and watch the game and watch, okay, Dunbar came out of the game, who was in there on third down for them? Who was in there on the passing downs for them? And if it was the same guy every time, that's your new passing downs guy.
Yeah, and we haven't watched the game. I see what you're saying.
That's important to go back and watch because whoever that person's going to be is going to play a lot this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. And that might be somebody that I'll be putting in my GPP video, so make sure you pay attention to that.
Let me ask you this then. Earlier when I told you that you loved Todd Gurley so much, but every single third down, literally 3rd and 2, 3rd and 7.
Totally different.
Why? It was the first week of something.
Totally
So
different.
in Dallas, we don't know what that really meant this week.
Totally different because
It wasn't game planned. So
Brand-
I don't think it was.
Brandon Whedon checks down to his running back a lot. You forget, not last week, but the week before, Lance Dunbar, 10 for 100 receiving.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I don't know if you can just look at what happened this week and decide that's what's going to happen next week. Because it was a not game planned thing for an injury to happen, and that's all.
Understood, but if it was the same running back in there on third down or on passing down,
Maybe.
I mean, it's not like they're going to sign a guy off the street and then plug him in there as the third down guy.
No.
So it's going to be that guy again.
Yeah, Dallas running back conversation too long.
Well, Broncos at Raiders. Can we both agree that Ronnie Hillman should be the starter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Juwan Thompson probably should be.
Hillman almost twice as many fantasy points in 9 less touches this season than Anderson. It needs to be Hillman. That's all we need to talk about that one. Oakland has allowed 2 passing touchdowns in all 4 games this season. I know Peyton Manning hasn't been Peyton Manning, but he should be able to keep that streak going.
Yeah, it should be fine. This is a good week for Peyton.
Here's something interesting, and I actually talked about this on Twitter on Sunday morning, I think it was, but it still holds true after this weekend. Only 9 teams have scored more real-life points than the Raiders this season.
Only 9 teams, more real life. Okay, yeah.
They're putting points on the board.
Of course.
This
Great,
isn't your mom and dad's
Good
Raiders
young
anymore.
offense. Good young offense, but this week is going to be a struggle. This is a good defense at Denver. So.
I think the Broncos defense is one of the best in the league. So for DFS purposes, yes, I'm off Carr, I'm off Murray, I'm off Cooper.
Yep.
But normally I'm on all 3 of those guys because they're putting up points on the board.
Yes.
49ers at Giants. Start your defense against your 49ers.
Yep. Colin Kaepernick.
Giants have been better.
He ain't no Russell Wilson.
That should be a slogan. I ain't no Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Remember they used to do the McDonald's? They did the McDonald's commercials together? Who was it that Kaepernick did them with the Mighty Wings that nobody bought?
I never bought those, so I don't know.
Kaepernick and Flacco.
I must have missed the commercial. That's why I never bought them.
I don't know. Poor Colin Kaepernick. Remember he had to shave one eyebrow off. You don't remember that?
For a couple, no, but for a couple weeks, that guy was something, huh?
We'll YouTube that later. But I've already brought it up, but I'm bringing it up again. Carlos Hyde still a top 12 guy for you?
No. Put him anywhere else. Give me another situation. I love his talent. I love him as a person. Never even met him, but he runs so good. I like him. But yeah, no.
This I thought was another interesting stat that I found.
I'll give that one to you.
That I found today. So Odell Beckham Jr. last season finished out the season with 9 straight games of 80 yards or more receiving.
Okay.
How many games does he have this season over 80 yards?
1.
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Defense.
This is the first week he caught less than half of his targets too. I heard that on.
Defenses have had time to scheme around him and watch him and just pick up on him. I feel.
Yeah, and the kid's a little bit of a psycho.
What?
I had you watch a little bit of a video. He gets laid out last week, jumps up to punch the guy in the face. Did you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's getting to him. I think. We'll see if he can overcome, and I think he can.
This is a lot.
He's a GPP for me this week.
Yeah, he is every week. I mean, he has that blow up potential.
Yep, that's true.
This is why I was off of him in season long. We've seen it before. We've seen guys blow up for a season and then get shut down the next season because defenses have time to plan on that guy.
Yeah. But he's skilled enough, I really believe.
Yeah, no, he has a lot of skill. I'm just saying you're seeing it a little bit.
Yeah.
You're seeing it a little bit.
Eli, another decent game. He's had a good year. What is he, 9 touchdowns with the pick?
Sure. I don't know.
I think he's got 1 interception this year. Not quite the Eli year. He's a guy that I'm used to throwing a few interceptions. He's looked good this year. He really has. So, 3 touchdowns this week, was it?
I can tell you he scored more fantasy points than Peyton.
Yeah. I think he's had 3 touchdowns. How many touchdowns this week? 3, right? And I think none of them went to Beckham, which was insane.
Yeah. 3, and I'm pretty sure they all went to wide receivers too, just none of them named Beckham. 3 touchdowns last week, 2 the week before, 2 the week before that.
Oh, okay, so 7. and 1 pick. So,
And 1 pick.
what do you are you worried about Beckham? If we're talking weekly right now. What do you think? Are you buying low? Are you trying to go get him because you think he's going to be absolutely fine?
I'm trying to
if
go
you
get
have him, don't worry.
I'm trying to go get him, but I don't think the Beckham owner will give him up so easily. Because I think the Beckham owner spent a way too high pick than I would have spent on him this year.
Yes, me too.
So there's probably still holding out hope on him.
I was the biggest fan, and you're right. I was with you on that. We were waiting.
Too high. Do we care about any Giants running backs?
No, they're all horrible. I mean, whatever. They
Shane
all do a
Vereen's-
little bit of everything.
Shane Vereen 2 weeks in a row with no receptions.
Weird.
It's really weird. Steelers at Chargers. Michael Vick doesn't look great, but Le'Veon Bell is sure picking up where he left off. San Diego, second to last in fantasy points allowed to running backs. All the Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and
Especially with Michael Vick back there.
Yeah.
7 receptions in each of the 2 games Le'Veon Bell's played this year.
I love it. And Bryant's coming back this week to take the top off the defense. So, yeah, Bell, there's no question how excited I was about it a couple weeks ago when D'Angelo Williams looked like the best running back in the NFL. You know, I mean, it was when this kid came back, his floor, well, I don't want to say that because it sounds stupid, but you expect 15 at least out of him on his worst day.
I was just going to say, previously, before Le'Veon Bell came back, the DFS play was to always play Antonio Brown because he was so solid week after week. He was so consistent. You knew you were going to get 20 to 30 fantasy points out of him, like on DraftKings.
Yep.
I think that's shift now over to Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, because of the injury to Ben.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big part of it. 5 for 42 last week for Antonio Brown with Michael Vick. Like I said, I'm staying away from a DFS. I'd rather take a shot on Odell this week against San Francisco.
Yeah,
Probably,
I agree.
Similar price points. You mentioned Martavis Bryant being back. I'm going to say this: if you go to the Martavis owner right now and try to buy low on him, you're not going to be able to because the Bryant owner is going to be excited he's coming back.
Right.
But I think next week you're going to be able to buy low on him.
I like it, but
I think Michael Vick's not going to be able to throw the deep ball to him.
That's what I was going to say. Is I think that's one thing Vic can still really do well. I think.
Haven't seen it yet.
Is
this
just
season.
throw it up and let Martavis go get it. So we'll see what happens. I agree. If he has a bad game, go get him. If he doesn't, it's going to be harder.
Despite the mediocre performance after mediocre performance week after week from Melvin Gordon, when is the hype train going to end on Melvin Gordon?
It's kind of closing for me.
I've been
I'm
off it
going
for
to go take
a while.
my last ride, I think, now.
I've been off
As
it
soon
for
as
a
this
while.
podcast's over.
57 rushing yards a game is what he's averaging.
Yeah, it's
basically no red zone touches.
And I think this week the Woodhead snap count went up when it was trending down.
I will bring that up.
Do I still think he's going to be a very solid RB2 by the end of the season? Yes.
Tied his career high in snap percentage last week
Who, Melvin?
at 46%.
All right, so Woodhead's snap count didn't go down.
I mean,
Yeah.
Woodhead's did go up.
Yeah.
Melvin's just.
Oh,
stayed
okay.
where it is.
I don't know. Like I said, I still think by the end of the season, it's going to be a solid RB2.
I had so much promise for him at the beginning of the year. There was so much talk about him getting as much work as he could handle and all that
but,
stuff.
And
just
he
isn't
looks
happening.
okay. It's just Woodhead is good.
Yeah. So, by the way, we spoke about Martavis Bryant coming back from suspension. Antonio Gates coming back too. Has been a top 5 fantasy tight end in every season for the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yep.
I like Gates. I think he's going underrated. We've seen what Ladarius Green has been doing without Gates.
Ladarius isn't going to just go away. That's what I've been saying all along.
He's not, but Stevie Johnson banged up.
Somebody has to
Floyd
go catch
banged
the
up.
ball. Yeah.
Antonio, he's got that chemistry with
Stevie
Rivers.
Johnson, Malcolm Floyd, like you said, both banged up. So, yeah, I think they need him this week more than ever. Gates? GPPs?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All over the place. I like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he's going to come back and he's going to...
I think by the end of last
what
week...
those steroids did.
Yeah, exactly. Bring him on steroids.
And you can...
Or the fact that he's not on steroids, is that a little bit of a down?
You know what?
Listen, did he do steroids? I don't know if he did steroids. I'm done with this.
Anyway,
He got in trouble.
I think you're right. I think huge GPP play, him and Rivers this week.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh can't stop the pass. They can't
No.
stop anything.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, and you like it. It gives you...
I'd like it more if Roethlisberger was there, because then just
Gives you-
chase some points.
gives
But
you a good Monday night sweat, too. I like it.
I like
it.
I
feel like Peyton Manning in the new Nationwide commercial when the lady's like, chicken parm, you taste so good. And
Yeah.
he's sitting there, he's like, I like it.
I'm not going to lie to you, though. I got a Vic Martavis Bryant stack.
Yeah, sure.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen.
Yep. I see it happening. I shut my eyes. Right before I fall asleep, I see a 70-yard Martavis pass from Vic.
Yeah, anything could happen.
How long is this
The
podcast?
NFL.
Are we almost done?
Yeah, we are done. This was the last game. That was the Monday night game.
Wonderful.
You got anything else you want to...
No, I mean, I was ready to be done. That was perfect timing.
He is beyond done. All right, guys. Well, make sure to hit us up on Twitter with any of your fantasy questions. Make sure to check out my cash game lineups that I put out and my GPP video. I'm just going to keep... I've been plugging a lot tonight.
Oh, shit. I got one more thing to talk about real quick.
Oh, jeez.
Stephon Diggs, Minnesota. I know we're coming up on a bye, but 10 targets in his first game.
We're really talking about 4th, 5th round.
I do this at the end. I run real quick through guys that I want to talk about. No,
4th string wide receivers on teams on bye. Here we go.
Stephon Diggs. He played because Charles Johnson's out. Jarius Wright. Charles Johnson has done nothing this year. He's an undrafted free agent that Norv Turner brought over because he had him back in Cleveland. Diggs, a 5th rounder who I liked in the preseason, I really think is our best receiver.
You got 10
Mike
seconds.
Wallace called him a baller.
You got 10 seconds on Antonio Andrews. You're spending more than 10 seconds on Stephon Diggs.
I think it's a guy to pick up for $1 and thank me in a couple weeks. That's all. I think he has a chance to be the best receiver in Minnesota, but certainly not the best offense you want to be. Exactly. Yep. Yep. No, I give you that. I'll give you that.
All I remember Stephon Diggs for is saving Cordero Patterson from getting hit in the nuts by that ball in that video.
Cat-like reflexes, and it just continues to show.
Look at you turn just random stuff into positives for him.
I'm telling you.
Cat-like
That's
reflexes. Jesus. All right. We'll see you guys later this week. You got any questions? Like I said, hit us up on Twitter. Check out the videos.
Lion sack of shit. I'm not going to see you later this week, right?
Probably not. All right. See you guys.